All right, let's take you to the story and continue with our coverage of gender-based violence and femicide as 16 Days of Activism kicks off officially today. Many institutions of higher learning have created awareness programs and campaigns aimed at bringing young people into the fight against violence. These campaigns are important because they have the power to shape and transform our society. For more, I'm joined by criminologist Kholofelo Rakubu. Thank you so much, Kholofelo, for your time here on eNCA. Now, as a criminologist, what can you tell us in terms of, gender-based violence in South Africa as you investigate and as you speak to people who are, for instance, perpetrators? What's your research showing you? What is wrong with our country being amongst the most violent in the world?
Good day to the viewers. As we've realized, statistics are extremely alarming. Our society is very violent. And what research tells us is the issues with patriarchal system, communities are just not changing. And what we want to emphasize is what? Nothing has changed in terms of the trends and patterns when it comes to commission of domestic violence or GBV-related crime. What has changed is the magnitude of women that come on board to report this criminality. The society is more educated and the channels of reporting are much clearer. Hence now it looks like this is now coming up, it's new. It has been happening. We just have to recall that the challenge has been with opening up, understanding what one should do or where to go. So now society has been transformed. There are channels and there are educational programs wherein one is able to even know which steps to take. Should my case not be registered as a community member, now I know where to go and I can even pester officials to register my case or even take higher steps. So hence now it looks like it has just ballooned over within a period of 2 weeks or a month. No, nothing has changed. Crime is still very high.
So what you're saying then is that it just shows that we as South Africans have more places where we can report these issues, and now there's also a a much more sophisticated way of consolidating the statistics, etc. Is this a positive thing?
Yes, it's a positive thing. And what you mentioned earlier, it's institutions of higher learning across the country that have launched their programs and projects to address issues of GBV at institutions of higher learning. That shows that institutions of higher learning understand their mandates, because you cannot have students and not prepare thoroughly. South Africa is violent, therefore, your policies, there should be policies that are very comprehensive and clear when it comes to issues of GBV. You should now design your campuses in a way that addresses or incorporate principles of crime prevention through environmental design, because research has reflected that one of the major contributory factors to victimization on our campuses is issues of maintenance, poor lighting, access control, lack of territoriality, and so forth. So now with universities, they should not just only work on policies, they should also tap into practical issues such as access control, safety, information with regard to where to go to report a case, and their policies should be effective. And universities, I hope now they take into consideration that some of the students that they are registered, they have experience with GBV, they are already scarred, and that they also need help. So they should clarify and specify and provide necessary information with regard to where to get help.
So as a criminologist, Kholofelo, you also look at a criminal's behavior to try and see what caused their diversion from the norm, right? So when you, investigate these cases psychologically, etc., what do you find is wrong? I mean, some people, for instance, we spoke to a victim earlier today who said that she thinks that whatever we do won't solve anything because there's a bad spirit in the air. But you can give us a more scientific answer that could probably just give us some type of closer answer to the mind, how the mind of the criminal works, specifically those who attack women and children.
criminology is very broad, and others will tell you of theories that will tell you criminality, it's a learned behavior. They will talk of differential association. We are this violent because we grew up observing violence in the communities. We grew up observing our parents being victimized and not even reporting. We were taught that you don't need to talk about certain things. Now, research also tells us about social disorganization. We grew in communities that don't take issues of GBV very serious. So now all those men growing up in those socially disorganized communities, they will grow up to do the same thing. And what they have observed again is the issues within our law enforcement. Remember, a perpetrator is a rational thinker. They plan, and in their planning, they take into consideration corruption within law enforcement, issues relating to HR, issues of accessibility, issues of cases not being registered. So all those factors perpetuate level of criminality. I know I can buy out. I know my docket can just be dealt with in a second. So all those reasons gives a criminal who's a rational thinker, who now sees that as a vulnerability and commit a crime. So as society, criminal behavior is learned. Just like when you go to institutions of higher learning, most students that are perpetrators have learned this. They now want to come and practice what they've learned in their communities at universities. Some are perpetrators because they are scared. They've bottled their issues and now they want to take out those issues on fellow students. So, and again, at institutions of higher learning, some of our staff members have not been vetted. We are allowing perpetrators to also
come into the system.
So, yes, they come into the system, and hence, now with that environment, it's difficult for students to even report those cases because
I can imagine.
With institutions of higher learning, there's so much fear. All you want is to get your degree. So universities have a lot of work to do to ensure students that while you get your degree, your mental health should also be intact.